Coming up tonight on our first show of the 2014 season on Speedway Line Report Radio, presented to you by Shaler Acura of Manchester, Connecticut. Ricky Rotundo and I will talk racing with you. And it's going to be a double guest co-host with the 2013 NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour Champion, Ryan Preece. And right alongside the 2013 SK Modified Light Champion, Tony Memmbrino Jr. Also joining us on this edition of Speedway Line Report Radio, we'll talk to NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour and SK driver Woody Pickett about his second place finish yesterday at the Thompson International Speedway on the Modified Tour. And later on in the show, we'll talk to the World of Outlaws driver, David Gravel. And a man who has knowledge on all topics, our friend Monty Dutton from MontyDutton.com. And we'll take your phone calls at 203-757-1320. Today is April 7th, 2014, and Speedway Line Report Radio is coming your way right now.
Gentlemen, start your engine.
The green flag is in the air, and it's time for the Speedway Line Report, presented by Shaler Acura of Manchester. Broadcasting from our WATR studios in Waterbury, Connecticut, and streaming live around the world, it's 90 minutes of auto racing news. Now, here's your host.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first edition of Speedway Line Report Radio. Gary Danko right alongside Rocket Rick Rotundo as we're set for another season on Speedway Line Report Radio. And, of course, right across from me, turning all the knobs, is Tom Graves. And, of course, you can listen to Speedway Line Report Radio live by going to WATR.com. And we're also streaming live at SpeedwayLineReport.com. So we've got an action-packed show for you tonight, no question about that. We're going to talk about the events that took place over the weekend. Of course, Waterford Speedboat opened up their gates for the 2014 season. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about all the action over at the Thompson International Speedway. And as I mentioned right here, it's going to be a double guest co-host tonight with Tony Memmbrino Jr. and Ryan Preece. We'll get their take on the action from this past weekend. Of course, Ryan ran the SK Modified at Thompson International Speedway. He was also in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour event. We'll talk to him about that. And he also raced over at the Waterford Speedboat on Saturday evening, where he came home with a top 5 finish. Once again, that was Ed Pulio in for the win there. Congratulations going out to Ed Pulio, who picked up that win. And, you know, we'll take your phone calls. We'd like to talk auto racing with you, 203-757-1320. This show is also being brought to you by Embroidery Works, Jim's Lawn Care Service, and Grotto Restaurant. Before we get rolling on into the show here, Tom Ormsby, former modified driver, and he is the webmaster of SpeedwayLineReport.com. Going back, guys, a month ago was a pretty scary situation for Tom. He had some health issues going on. And I'd like to say that he is home recuperating. And once again, I want to give our best to Tom Ormsby, good friend of mine, good friend to the radio show, and a good friend to racing. But he is doing okay. And once again, we'll take your phone calls if you'd like to give him a call. And he'll also take some get well cards as well. So why don't we break for our first commercial? And when we come back, we're going to talk auto racing tonight on Speedway Line Report Radio.
In the market for a new Acura, there's only one place to go, Shaler Acura in Manchester. Shaler is Connecticut's first Acura dealer. Shaler offers the area's best selection of new and pre-owned Acuras. Shaler Acura also offers extended hours for parts and service, open until 8 o'clock Monday through Thursday, and till 4 o'clock on Saturday. Come to Shaler Acura, 345 Center Street, Manchester, or visit them on the web at ShalerAcura.com. Nowhere else but Shaler Acura.
Nowhere else but Shaler Acura in Manchester will you find the area's best selection of quality pre-owned certified Acura automobiles. These Acuras are like new and a great way to enjoy the Acura ownership experience. Whether the sporty TSX RDX or a gorgeous TL, MDX, or RL, every certified pre-owned Acura comes with a 7-year or 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Check out the complete inventory at ShalerAcura.com or visit them at 345 Center Street, Manchester, exit 60 off I-84. Nowhere else will you find buying a pre-owned Acura easier than at Shaler Acura.
Opinions expressed on the Speedway Line Report do not necessarily reflect those of WATR management and staff, or the management and staff of the SpeedwayLineReport.com or VintageModifieds.com.
Welcome back to the Speedway Line Report, presented to you by Shaler Acura of...
Welcome back, everyone, to our first edition of Speedway Line Report Radio for 2014. Something different for us. In 2014, we're going to go 90 minutes. 90 minutes. This year, we needed that extra half hour, so we can get scheduled more guests on, and certainly should be a great time here on Speedway Line Report Radio in 2014. Right alongside, of course, my co-host, Rocket Rick Rotundo from R&R Fabrication. Ricky, you all set and ready to go again?
Yeah, ready to go.
Okay, great. That's what we want to hear. Did you get a chance to get out to any of the tracks this past weekend?
No, I didn't get a chance. I had some stuff to finish up. Still getting some other race cars ready for the race coming up at Stafford. So, got a little stuff to do here and there. Just want to make sure everything's 100% before we go racing.
And as we mentioned, it's a double guest co-host tonight on Speedway Line Report Radio. Right next to you, Tony Memmbrino Jr., the 2013 SK Light Modified Champion from Stafford Motor Speedway. Tony, I know you've been pretty busy getting an SK Modified all set. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, a little busy is an understatement. It's kind of been the story of my life for the last couple months. But yeah, we're getting ready to make our first jump into the SKs. It's pretty exciting. It's been something I wanted to do for a long time, and didn't really think it'd be something that I could do just because it's a big financial hurdle, obviously, and it's a big step, and can't wait to get going.
How many hours have you spent at the shop putting this all together?
I stopped counting.
Right.
It's obviously it's a lot of work. It's a big commitment. It's a big change for us. But like I said, once we get everything going, I think we'll fall right back into our rhythm, what we've been doing the last couple of years with the SK Light, and I think we'll start getting into our groove, and we'll start really trying to make some strides.
What's your expectations going into a new division? Of course, let's go back a few years ago. You were the Dare Stock champion over at Stafford Motor Speedway. You did well there. As I mentioned, the SK Light Modified champion going back to last year, won some races. So now you're going to go into another division, the SK Modified, some great competition. Your buddy right next door to you here in our studio, Ryan Preece, has had a lot of success. Teddy Christopher, Keith Rocco, and the names go on and on. So let's talk about expectations.
Well, going into something new, I try not to, get too ahead of myself. I don't put it in my head that I'm going to go set the world on fire, especially going into what I am now. Like you said, this guy next to me, he's probably the best of the best right now as far as the SKs at Stafford, racking up a whole lot of wins over the last few years. And then you got Teddy, Christopher, Keith, Rocco, Doug Hobie, Rowan Pennick, Todd Owen, just the list goes on and on and on. It's a stacked field, and you're racing against tour drivers, pretty much. So it's definitely going to be a big hurdle, and I'm just going to do what I've been doing the last few years, even going into the Dare Stock and then the SK Light Modified. Just find my niche, find my groove, and I feel that it'll come to me. Maybe a little bit longer with the heavier competition, but I think it'll come to me, and I think we can contend for top tens. I think that would be a good start for us, a good goal to set, and then just work our way from there.
Talk about the race car. This is not the same SK Light car that you had over the last couple of years. Totally different race car for you.
Yeah, we worked out a deal with Steve Greer when we acquired his Raceworks chassis, the one that Woody Pickett drove on the Modified Racing Series the last couple of years. And we've stripped the car down like we always do, put our own little touch to it, and we've been just putting it back together, and that's where we're going. We're running a TA engine under the hood, I couldn't have done any of this without the help of my dad, Ed Flemke, Steve, Tony Altieri, Billy O'Sullivan, a lot of people, everybody on my team and on my sponsors that came through and really rallied together to help make this jump possible. And we're still got a lot of work ahead of us, but like I said, I'm really excited.
Well, I appreciate you coming into the studio. You're going to be one of our co-hosts tonight, along with Ryan Preece. Ryan, let's talk about helping out your buddy at Stafford this year. Can he come to you and you'll give him some help?
Of course, yeah. I'm sure. I'm sure I'll break him down a little bit, but we'll have some fun. It's always fun watching Tony, and we've been friends for so long. So anything I can do to help him, I'm always gonna be there for him. Exactly.
Let's go back. Let's go back to the Battle at the Beach in Daytona back in February. Good, strong race car for you, and you led what was 147 laps, and then there was problems. And for those that weren't able to watch it, of course, it was a lap car that you got involved with, and that's really gotta hurt.
It did. It was $20,000. So that was even worse, and winning at Daytona. But we worked hard as a team. We definitely found something in practice, and it was a team effort there. So it's unfortunate that the circumstances were the way they were. But East West Marine, Flamingo Motorsports, R&B Enterprise, Diversified Metals, everybody involved, we were all pretty proud of how we ran. And so what do you want to say, Ricky?
I was just gonna say, I thought Gary was putting a little salt on the wound there.
No, don't worry, man. I've been asked that question so many times.
In regards to what, right?
Led 147 laps. You had a good run going. But
Well, let the facts speak. I mean,
no, it is. It's just it is a little salt in there. But I thought the race itself was way better than it was last year. They did so much more to actually make it a real race this year than they did last. Last year I thought was a joke.
Well, I mean, everybody respected each other for the most part this year. The track was a little different where the corners, you weren't racing to the center and then, making it a drag strip. It was more of how a racetrack was raced, you know what I mean? But it was definitely a good race. Obviously, I was happy with it until 3 to go, but that's racing sometimes. Sometimes it goes your way and sometimes it doesn't, and I'm looking forward to the next few weeks.
And of course, a little bit later on, we'll talk about your race yesterday over at the Thompson International Speedway in the SK and the NASCAR Wheel Modified Tour. And as I mentioned at the top of the broadcast, you also raced over at the Waterford Speedbowl, where you came home with a top 5. Other drivers that had a good weekend, of course, Saturday night over at the Waterford Speedbowl, I mentioned Ed Pulio, the winner in the SK Modified. Keith Rocco picked up the victory in the late model division. Now, Keith, of course, also had a busy weekend. He competed in 3 divisions yesterday at the Thompson International Speedway. He competed in the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour. He also competed in the Sunoco Modified event, which he won. And he also won in the late model feature. But upon further review, Ricky, Keith was disqualified from the late model win at Thompson, and the car owner is disputing the findings.
Yeah, I guess there's a discrepancy that they're having the way the rule is written and what he had, I guess. But I guess we're going to talk to Fern a little bit later on, so we'll try to get a little bit more details out of what he is and what the rule says and stuff.
And actually, we're going to talk to him right now because he is on the line. Longtime car owner Scott Fernan is now joining us. Scott, good evening. How are you? I'm doing very well.
Hey, this is Ricky. What's happening? I can imagine since yesterday not doing too great. Yeah, because I was reading what it was. It was about the flex plate there. You want to go into a little detail about it just so everybody could really understand what actually happened?
Hello, Corvette? I don't know. Because it's a flex plate, it's not a flywheel. You have to mount a super clutch to it. And there's nothing in the rules that says no aftermarket. I've never seen a rule for any race car division in the country, any division, the lowest to the highest, that doesn't have a weight rule on the flywheel or flex plate. And there's no weight rule. I'm wondering what I should even buy to replace it that's going to be deemed acceptable to these people.
Yeah, it's kind of a difficult situation that you're in because, like you said, most of the places that we go to that you race at, there's always a weight limit for the clutch, there's a weight limit for the flywheel, there's a weight limit for the pressure plate, there's a weight limit on everything that you get, and it does say in the rule book stock, but it gives you something to go off of where it gives you a weight limit. Now, if they wanted you to run a certain one that wasn't lightweight, you would think that there would be somewhat of a, something in there saying that it had to be, a certain one that had it, or you have something written in there saying no lightweight parts, or something next to the rule or something to say that you can't run it. Granted, it'll probably say that next year, but it doesn't do anything about it what's right now.
I couldn't even get them to admit up there that maybe they could use some rewording, even add a word, no aftermarket parts allowed, or simply put a GM part number in there that you want to run. End of story then, it's cut and dry. But they kept going back to the word stock is in there, so that leaves it to our discretion. I don't know. Besides me, of course, I think the fans were really the ones that got shortchanged on this, because who wants to go to a race? You see a good race, you see a winner, you see victory lane, all the photos, and then you go home, and Monday evening you find out that someone was thrown out. You're going to throw someone out. Go ahead and do it. They left my car on jack stands at the main service garage, the new one they had at Thompson, right in the middle of the modified tour garage. For 4.5 hours, my car was on jack stands. Why in the world does it take that long to make a decision? And furthermore, you guys have all been around racing for a long time. Have you ever heard of a situation where 5 cars come in from tech, they all go over the scales, the leader, the winner, my car, is told to take the transmission and clutch out of it, put it on jack stands, and the other 4 are told they're all set, they can load up. They just left. That was explained by Thompson to us today, that they were parked in the back, and the tech was done on their cars in the back. Well, I was told by people back there, and there's not a single one of those cars that took the transmission out. And if that was the fact that they were doing it as a gesture of goodwill towards those competitors, to let them be teched in the back of the garage, or in the back of the track rather, half a mile away, how come the mini stocks, the SKs, and the street stocks, all 5 of them were teched directly next to that building? But the only late model that was mine. The model out of the 5 cars in the top 5 that had to take the transmission out was mine. Then they looked at the clutch through the bell housing, saw the number on it, and they said, your clutch is good, but now take the bell housing off, and we want to see the flywheel. Okay, all right, super. You're going to take it out, they take pictures of it, send it away. All I wanted was some guidance on what I could possibly buy that you would deem legal. They said, you folks can hold that flywheel in your hand and look at the flex plate and tell me it's not legal, but you can't tell me what is. It would have been nice to have a comparison against the other 4 guys that finished in the top 5, so they could make an educated decision on what people are running there. Because I can tell you now, that entire field has an aftermarket flywheel, and they're telling me they're not legal. And as lightweight as mine, I'm sure some of them are, but they have no way of knowing now, because they told everyone to load up and go home. I know, and they explained to me in NASCAR that the leader always gets more scrutiny as an inspected more. I'm pretty sure that you folks, Ryan and Ricky, when you go to a tour race and you finish top 3, don't they check the same thing on every car?
Well, they do check basically the same thing, but you do run into situations where they do tech the leader more, but they usually do tech everyone. Nobody usually, you don't usually go to the area and other guys get 0, and then the leader gets stuff done. There's only one racetrack that kind of does that. I can't even say it out loud because we're going to be racing there a few times this year. do not want to create waves, but you do get, situations sometimes where it is different from the other competitors, but usually everyone gets some amount of tech. And if you're saying like even the mini stocks who had a mile away from where the tech area was had to do it at the tech area, why wouldn't the other late models have been in that same area?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of places I'd race before I bring my car to Stafford Speedway, but I could say one thing for them. They have the tech area that the top 4 or 5 cars go in, whatever it is from each division, and they stay there until they're teched. Not only that, the next car that's in line to be teched, in case someone fails, is parked outside the fence. And it's all done in the open in front of everyone. There's none of this, them promising you that they sent someone on the other side of the sandhill to check a car. Okay? It's just craziness. I mean, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, like you said, at Stafford, they have the top 3 go over the scales, and they have the 4th place car ready to go over the scales just in case. Because if one of them, if the leader, because what will happen is 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place will go over the scales first. They'll park the 4th place car to the side, and if the leader doesn't make the weight, or if one of the other 2 guys didn't make weight, then that guy goes to the tech. But they have the guy ready right there just in case he doesn't make, someone doesn't make weight. This other guy's going into tech.
I mean, and it's not like Keith destroyed the field in the car and that it was a half a second faster than everyone else. I mean, if you look at the transponder times that came out today, Glenn Boss finished second. Him and Keith ran the identical times. They never separated by 2 to 3 car lengths the rest of the way. They ran identical. No one killed anyone else. And now it seems Glenn's going to get the first place money, and Glenn's going to get the points. We're going to get nothing. And the only thing that I'm happy about is we got a plaque for it. We got a nice trophy yesterday. And you know what I'm pleased with is we walked through the grandstands on the way out, and I saw a couple kids and gave them both the trophy and the plaque back from me because I gave them away to a couple kids. So.
Yeah, we had a situation similar to that years ago where we got the trophies and they gave somebody else, but we already got rid of the trophies. But it's just one of them things where it puts a bad feeling in the whole situation there. And now, what is they're doing with the American Canadian Tour is the one that's setting the rules, so you can't go to NASCAR, you have to go to the American Canadian Tour?
That's the way I took it. I was told that we're following the American Canadian Tour rules for that division, which is all well and good. There's 18, 20 tracks now that are following that throughout New England and Canada. That's great. I don't know that that's a position NASCAR wants to get itself in, that they are going to defer to the American Canadian Tour to make a decision on the legality of parts. Like car, with the amount of inspectors they had at Thompson yesterday, all had those new snazzy shirts and pants and jackets. They spent an awful lot of money on that. Maybe they should script on the jackets and hire another couple inspectors that could actually tech a transmission themselves instead of having Mike Sangamano. I mean, I'm glad Mike was there to look at it. Otherwise, God knows what they would have found. They probably would have said it's made out of metal, so you're disqualified. That's what they would have came up with. But, I mean, if you're going to look at my car and have someone that builds transmissions for a living who happened to be in the pit area look at it and okay it, which Mike did, no problem there. He said it was great. And then you have to defer to someone up in Vermont on the American Canadian Tour not affiliated with NASCAR to tell you whether the flywheel is squared away. There's an issue there. So pretty much the only thing I can grasp that they actually inspected on the cars, they went over the scales and they looked at the digital pad and said it was okay.
Well, with as far as with the NASCAR, if NASCAR is part of your division, you can call NASCAR to get them to lay their decision on what's going on, and they could, because NASCAR actually does more than a lot of people think. If you call them, you got to be. I'm not saying you kiss their butt, but you have to be respectful. You call them up and you explain to them everything that's going on, and you try to get in detail. They will make phone calls to like the American Canadian Tour. They will make phone calls to Tapley to get everybody's story straight to make sure NASCAR doesn't get a bump out of the situation, because I was in a situation where I had to call NASCAR. And I had to call NASCAR on the worst week in the world to ever call NASCAR, and that was 9/11. I had to call them on that Tuesday. That day is when I had to call NASCAR. Because I gave somebody Monday to get us situated. They didn't, so we still didn't have the win. I had to call NASCAR on Tuesday. NASCAR took it upon themselves within the next few days. By Thompson Thursday night, we got a win back from NASCAR. And nobody does that. Nobody gets a win back. In NASCAR,
I was thinking about that, but then it gets down to they're going to say that's a judgment call, and we're going to let the track make their judgment call. We're not going to micromanage them, So that's where you're at. But like I said to Scott Tapley, he explained that they are allowed to inspect and choose who gets what inspected and what's checked on each car, or to inspect more on the leader or the winner. That's all well and good. The perception of a bias is there completely. When every person walks by, you see every other division, all the 5 cars stay in the same spot, and then there's only one late model left there. Whether it's a bias or not, whether there's something going on there or not, that's the perception that people get, and say, why would you do that? And I can tell you right now, anyone that's won more than 5 races, they get called a cheater. They get told they have traction control. They get told this, that, the other thing. And now, because we have a flex plate that's a half a pound lighter, that's not, it's not banned in the rules, it's going to be a big headache now. I can tell you what, if you put Doug Colby in that car, or if you put Ryan in that car, or Keith, or James Savali, those are 4 guys right there that all get back to the gaps 2 or 3 car lengths before everyone else. They're going to make everyone else in the field look stupid. Some stiff that shouldn't be on the track driving the car, they ain't going to win the race. It's as simple as that. If you put Ryan or Keith or Doug Colby in that car, it's going to look like it's got 50 more horsepower than everyone else because they're getting back to the gas because the car turns. It's as simple as that.
All right, we're talking with Scott Fern. He owns the late model car that Keith Rocco competes with over at the Waterford Speed Bowl and over at the Thompson International Speedway. So, Scott, when it was all said and done, they didn't, over at Thompson, they didn't want to hear any more about it. That's it, final decision.
Yeah, that's the way I take it. They originally said they were going to suspend both Keith and I for an additional 2 races because of that's what the Act Tour suggested to them. And after Keith had a word in a discussion with some of the folks at Thompson, they decided that they were going to rescind that portion of it after we let them know that I was going to sell the car to Junior Woods this week and that Mad Dog would be driving it in the next 2 late model races.
What, you wouldn't hire me? I'd drive it. Oh. That sounds like a plan.
Yeah, Ryan.
It didn't cost me that either.
So, yeah, that's the Denny Hamlin charity.
It's on the 24th.
Okay, well, appreciate you dropping that to us tonight on Speedway Land Report Radio. I definitely knew Ryan was going to be a part of it, but it's good to know that Keith is going to be a part of that too. And what?
For broken wrists now in the next few weeks anyways. We can always squeeze Ryan in that car. We'll make doubly sure, though, to make sure everything's on the up and up with it, because I know he's on the NASCAR Next program.
This guy.
Scott, well, Scott, thank you for giving us a call tonight on Speedway Land Report Radio and hearing your side. There again, I'm not a tech guy. I'm glad Ricky was able to jump in there a little bit. And so the big question is, do you go back to Thompson?
Well, we'll have to see. To be honest, it's probably not for another 4 or 6 weeks, the next show there. We're only having a few this year, so we'll see how things go down the Speed Bowl, and as long as the car's in one piece, I imagine we'll be back down to Thompson.
Okay. Well, congratulations on your victory Saturday night over at the Waterford Speed Bowl. Looks like you guys haven't missed a beat from going back to 2013, where you won a lot of races and the championship. You're very welcome. Scott Fern giving us a call tonight here on Speedway Land Report Radio. Let's take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk to Woody Pitcat, who had a good weekend over at the Thompson International Speedway. We'll be back right after this.
There's nowhere else but Shaler Acura in Manchester.
He's nuts. He's funny. He's funny.
Remember, he's the YouTube guy.
Oh no, I know. I actually think I met him at the at the food shack because I recognized his voice.
Yeah.
He was the guy in front of me.
He's got a gut on him.
No, yeah, but I thought it was him, but I didn't know.
Like I said, NASCAR's affiliated with it. They will actually try to do something at least, try to get you some.
All right, I'm gonna give you time when we come back. Let's get the soundbite from Justin. Before we're gonna call Woody. Yeah, call
Like I
Woody.
said, I have
Give me the
called
thumbs up,
NASCAR
tell him, hang on,
9/11
Gary's gonna
to get
play a
everyone
couple
back
sound
at
bites.
Waterford.
Then you're gonna go in, and I'm gonna say Justin,
Right.
Eric out at Waterford.
and
They
then
questioned the shocks.
Doug.
They questioned the
I'll
shocks.
give you
I
time
told
to
him, I
get
said,
back.
well,
I'll
I'm
come
not
back.
put Dylan's on. He goes, no, you can run them tonight. And then tonight they tried to throw me out for it. After they just told me they could run.
All right, now you guys can chime in here.
Oh boy. That was a good point you brought up about Stafford. That's the exact. He knows that's the exact.
Yeah, they took my body off last year, so I had traction control.
That's the exact way they do it. But I mean, like you said, the fourth place car goes over the scale because the top three are on the podium still.
2, 3, and 4 come
And
across the scale. The fourth
Yeah.
place waits until the winner comes across.
You know what?
And everybody does the same thing. I've never
At
been.
Waterford,
I've never had a tech beat.
at Waterford with Tapley and with Everett, they usually do different things for the winner.
Yeah.
That's why I
Stafford,
can't
they
say never
usually,
did.
I don't know if he knows, but they usually do the same thing for everybody. So,
Right.
the race
Two
was in July
nationwide
last year.
races this year, right? In New Hampshire
Yep.
and Richmond. I
Freshly
think lined up for Richmond.
Everyone did the same
No,
thing.
it's one New Hampshire because there's only one nationwide there, and then the other one is Richmond.
Okay.
Some of the, like Waterford used to try to pick top 5, and then 1, 2, and 3 used to do something, and 4 and 5 used to do something. So they didn't have to spend any money like gaskets or ad work or anything like that. They used to make them do carburetor or do something. So I mean, it's been done before where you do a little bit different, but everybody's usually in tech.
Welcome back to the Speedway Line Report, presented to you by Shaler Acura of Manchester, Connecticut.
Welcome back, everyone. Gary Danko here in the Waterbury studio, right alongside Rocket Rick Rotundo, Tony Memmbrino Jr., Ryan Preece. We just heard that was a drive-by by Scott Fern giving us a call tonight, talking about the disqualification of his #1 late model this past weekend over at the Thompson International Speedway. The NASCAR Southern Wheel Modified Tour, guys, they were in action, and Andy Seiss picked up the victory. And I'll tell you, he's on a tear, Ryan. Andy Seiss on the Southern Wheel Modified Tour.
Yeah, he's been pretty stout. I've been following it. It seems like him and Bertuccio and obviously GB3, they've been pretty strong. But I'm looking forward to going down to Langley and getting back on the Southern Tour and doing a couple races this year.
And what car? The family car?
I'm doing one race at Langley this weekend in my father's car, but then the other one I'll be racing the 7NY that Newman usually drives at Charlotte later on in the year.
Okay. And are you still going to drive for Bill Park down at Riverhead?
Yeah, actually, I was just talking to him earlier, so I'm debating next week if we're running Waterford or not, and if not, I'm going to be going over for the open practice at Riverhead to get ready, and it's going to be a busy year for sure. There's a lot of racing going on this month, and a lot of racing going on for the rest of the month or the rest of the year.
Right. And of course, it was announced back a few weeks ago that Todd Zegedy, who was a former champion on the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour, he's going to be able to compete in Parks' car when the Modified Tour rolls into Riverhead this coming season.
Yeah, he's excited. I know that. It was funny how that conversation went. I was supposed to go to there's a bar over in Long Island, Sophie's Rest, and I was supposed to go there, but it was the night before Atlantic City, so I ended up not going. But Bill Park asked Brian Slager from East West Marine who he thought would be a good fit to drive that car for the tour race, and obviously Brian said Todd, so Todd almost got the job done there the last year, and obviously that 20 car is no slouch. It's going to be pretty strong this year, and I've won the last 3, so I already told Bill he can happily finish second to me.
And just a couple minutes, we're going to have Woody Pitcat, who finished second yesterday in the running of the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour event. Ryan, this past weekend, you started 4th. You finished 9th in the Eric Sanderson-owned number 16 car. Take us through your day.
Yeah, we pitted pretty early because we knew we were going to get a little bit tight, and we just kept adjusting, and trying to make it better. And, sometimes it doesn't go quite the way you plan it, but, everybody stayed strong, everybody worked hard, and we got a top 10 out of it. So could have been a lot worse, and obviously I can't thank Sly and the whole Flamingo team and everybody involved to get us out there and keep the car on track on the lead lap and do the best we could, and that's what we did. And and we'll look forward to Stafford.
When it was all said and done, Justin Bonsignor put his car into victory lane. He was asked, it was a great race between you and Woody. Justin, what about the confidence going into the season? And then, when it was all said and done, yesterday, of course, Doug Colby, good strong run. He would come home with a third place finish. And here's what he had to say about just hanging around all day. Doug Colby, the 2012 NASCAR Wheel Modified Tour champion, talking about his third place finish yesterday at Thompson. Other finishers that had a good strong run. How about guys, Ryan, Timmy Salamito, good strong run.
Yeah, he looked pretty stout. I mean, I was watching it going on up there, and a lot of guys had a good run going, so it seemed like they were dicing it up pretty good. It was definitely getting rough, but everybody kept their wheels on it for the most part, and there wasn't too much wrecking, and if it was just a mechanical failure or something like that.
And now joining us, the driver that set fast time on Saturday afternoon. He was up front all day long, driving the Chew entry. Now joins us Woody Pitcat, who came home in second. Woody, good evening. How are you? Doing well. Let's talk about your great weekend. Before we talk about the Modified Tour, let's talk about your the Sunoco Modified event yesterday.
Yeah, we went. I think we went in there probably not 100% because, obviously the car owner, Jimmy Page, had his hands full helping out Tommy Barrett and those guys there, Brad LaFontaine, with their frustrating weekend. And then my crew chief, Stevie LeMay, was helping Bobby Santos with their deal. So I know going in, we weren't the top priority, which was fine. We were, obviously, I wasn't given that being their top priority for me to drive their car. So we just battled, we did the best we could. I know there at the end I probably wasn't the best car. I don't know who had the best car. I know Ryan was better than I was, and I probably was holding him up there, and was lucky there on that last restart. Keith kind of drove him up real bad there, and I stuck in there and got a second place finish. So we'll take it, and the car's in one piece, and we can work on it, make it better for when we go back there in a month.
Yeah, it was a good race. You had I know you were trying to keep it going. I was trying to push you to catch them so you two could dice it out, but it looked like it was definitely you were holding on.
Yeah, it was a handful. I know there was one time there you were pushing me down the front straightaway. I was pretty loose in and loose off. I was trying to put front brake into it, so I'm like holding it with one hand, and you're pushing me. I'm like, oh god, this is gonna get ugly. But we managed. I know you're probably pretty mad there at the end because Keith drove you up there, so you probably wanted to get back to him. But all in all, it was a good race. It was, it was good and clean, good hard racing, and Hot Rod Todd came over and congratulated me. So it was good. It was a good start for the season, and good solid finish, and we'll go on to the next one.
Woody, is this like the dream ride that you've been waiting for in your career?
Yeah, no doubt. Like I was telling everybody. I mean, I've been trying hard, and I kind of look up to Doug the way that he did it. To run 3 or 4 cars in 1 year and jump back and forth trying to get a good ride, and he finally did. And if you look, he got a good ride and ran really good and ran for a championship and won a championship. And I kind of feel like I'm following his footsteps. I've worked really hard, tried to get into whatever I could to get into good equipment, and I feel like I really haven't proven myself on the tour. I haven't proven that I could run up front with Ryan and these guys and Silk and Kobe and all these guys that I'm friends with. I haven't really been able to do that, and that's my goal, is to be able to go there week in and week out and run in the top 5, run in the top 10, and be consistent week in and week out, and one day run for a win, and maybe possibly for.
And Woody, this is Ricky. I just want to touch base with everybody that's listening that you're in the Buzz 2 car, and what type of cars does he have? And this is obviously your first year with him and everything else. And what are the sponsors that are on the car? Uh, Well, the way they ran this past weekend, I think you better get the sponsors a little bit better lined up there, because you're going to be saying them on the PA after the race is over. You know, when you're in the victory lane there.
That we ran so good in time trials and practice, and you obviously wanted to finish the day off, and felt like we won every award but that. We won practice, we won time trials, we won best appearing, but didn't win the race. But all in all, it was a super day. It was a super weekend for me to be able to run that good and run up front and be there all day and have a good points day, a good finish, and I look forward to Stafford.
Hey, Wood, it's Tony. No, I didn't get to make it to the race yesterday like Ricky. We were, both doing something different. But I got to catch it on the Fans Choice TV, and want to say that was a heck of a weekend you had to have. And we known each other quite a while, and I gotta say it was, you were pressing a lot of people, and I knowing you were probably all smiles throughout the whole weekend.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely was awesome. Like I told somebody yesterday, you kind of have a whole different attitude and a whole different feeling going to the track. Nothing against any of my other crew or car owners or teams that I've had before, because I was very fortunate to have a ride, every year, and they've been awesome. But to be able to go there and know that you're going to have a good car, and it's going to be under you the same, feel the same way every lap, and be consistent. And we practiced that 1 week there. We tested last week or whatever, the week before Thompson race, and then to go there and to be just as good, it feels good and gives your confidence up, and knowing that you're going to be that good. So you go there and you do the best you can, and everybody knows that I've never been really a good time trial. Everybody thinks that you get to the point where everybody's saying you're not very good, and then you get down on yourself and you feel like, okay, maybe it is you, and then you finally get in something that's, real good equipment, everything's top notch, and everybody's on the same page, and you go out there and you lay down a lap of practice, and it's like, all right, now I just need to do the same thing. And that's pretty much what I did. I had confidence that the car was going to do the same thing that I did in practice, and I went out there and just tried not to overthink it and just go out there and do the same thing, and put it on the pole. So it was an awesome weekend. Like I said, it gives you a whole different feeling going in there the whole weekend. Your attitude's different, your confidence is up, and you can just keep building on that for the next race.
So definitely the communication between you and your crew chief so far, so good, right?
Yeah, it's been awesome. I went up there, a couple times. The race shop's up in Old Forge, New York. So we went up there over the winter a couple times. I tried to talk them into going to Daytona, and they kept telling me, we're not going to Daytona. Get that out of your head. You can come up here and go snowmobiling and have some cocktails if you want, but we're not going to the race. We're going to prepare for the North Tour. And, I thought it was, all in all, it was probably a smart thing. But then, the practice got canceled, and I was getting eager to get going. And we ended up getting a chance to practice. Thompson, Josh Vendetta, and everybody at Thompson worked their butts off and did an outstanding job to get us to get there to practice, and it worked out great. And I think that we've, with a new team, it takes a little bit of time to gel, and that's kind of what did us yesterday with the pit stop, and kind of over adjusting it there, and we were just a little bit off there at the end, but it takes time, and I feel like we've gelled a little bit faster than I expected to be able to come out that hot. So I'm hoping to just build off of that, keep the confidence up, and just keep getting better and better week in and week out, and our win will come. I feel very confident that I have, the best shot this year to win a race, and hopefully that day will come soon.
Did I read something somewhere over the winter that if you get 4 wins, are you getting a car or something?
That was a vicious rumor that somebody started. I don't know where that came from. I think it was something that got posted on Facebook that was supposed to get the Buzz somehow. Buzz, the car owner there, is pretty close to Eddie Partridge, so I think they go to Applebee's out there in Riverhead like once or twice a week. We're talking back and forth, and I think somewhere along the line it got on Facebook, and it was supposed to, it was more to just get Eddie Partridge all fired up, and I don't know if that'll happen or not. I've been telling him I need a new truck every once in a while when I see him, because my truck I bought from them in October of 2001, and I still have the same one. It's got 435,000 miles on it, so if anything, I probably need a new truck before anything, and I keep telling him, hey, what do you think about a new truck? Don't even think about it. You got to get that out of your head. And I'm like, no, I'm not saying it for free. I'm just telling you I'm going to need a new truck eventually. So I think it's just, just a fun little thing between Eddie Partridge and Buzz out on the island there, just to get each other fired up and get going for the racing season. But, hey, you never know. Stranger things have happened. So maybe if, I can pull off a couple there, then maybe something else will change.
Well, we know things are going good for you so far out of the box with your new team on the NASCAR Wheel Modified Tour. As we mentioned, you had a good, strong run yesterday in the Sunoco Modified, the 00 car. Now, what about 2014 over at Stafford Motor Speedway? You're going to be driving for somebody different in the SK Modifieds.
Yeah, obviously, Ryan's familiar with him. He obviously worked on his Modified Tour team that he drives for there with the Flamingo guys, and I'm looking forward to it. I think Adam and his family, are very, very good people. I think they have, the equipment that you need to run up front there. They have good sponsors and good people backing them, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good deal. I think they've never really had, really good luck when they did race the last couple of years there and had a tough time. But I think it's going to be pretty good. I don't know. I'm pretty excited. I've been trying to win the championship there for a very long time, and to finally do that last year, I feel like there's a little added pressure off of my back to not have to worry about that no more. To wonder, okay, am I ever going to do this or what? Because I've been trying so hard. So to have that pressure off my back and going there this year, not really worrying about it. I mean, obviously that's the ultimate goal, is to go there and win races and contend for a championship, but I don't think that'll be the most pressure on me this year. I just want to go in there and try to help Adam as best as I can, and try to go out there and get a win for those guys and run up front. I don't think they've ever been on the podium, so I'd like to be able to do that for them, and hopefully, get the first win for those guys, and just have fun. That's the biggest thing. Nobody is making any money in this. It's very expensive, with the SK and with the tour and everything. So to be able to go out there and run good and have fun with everybody, and not get all mad and angry and get everybody all bitter, and go there and have fun, and that's the biggest thing too, is to have fun. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good year, and I think it's going to be a good year with everything.
And, of course, Tony Memmbrino Jr., we talked a little bit earlier. Of course, he's been working hard over the winter months putting an SK Modified together. So he'll be going, of course, for Rookie of the Year honors. Anything that you can suggest to Tony?
I think he's pretty good. I think he'll do a good job. I know he's close to Ryan, so if he needs any help, he can talk to Ryan. Ryan's really good down there, and I think getting in there. Obviously, you want to be there if you can. That's the biggest thing. So if you don't think your car's that good, don't try to start up front. If you got to start in the back and just kind of ride along and log laps and try to finish and be there at the end, you don't have to go there to prove anybody. We already know that you can. At least I know that you can go down there and do it. And he knows I talk to his father once in a while when I see him out on the road with the lunch truck, and we all know he can do it. Even his father's wondering, well, can he run with you guys? And I have all the confidence in the world that he can do it. So, just go out there, take your time, and you'll be fine. You can do it.